good morning. This is Kokoliko Live on West Nile TV. My name is Yusuf. This morning I have a guest with whom we want to be able to have a better understanding of a number of issues happening in West Nile region. And as always, we lighting the region as West Nile TV. And wherever you're viewing us from, we want to welcome you on the show. And this morning I have Mr. Kenneth Chigumba. I hope the pronunciation is right. He is the general manager for West Nile Rural Electrification Company Limited. Good morning, you must welcome.
Good morning.
All right. Now, manager, we want to look at a number of issues as far as Wenreco and power distribution in West Nile is concerned. What is Wenreco doing currently? What is Wenreco up to? What is happening at Wenreco generally? Just to begin with.
For sure. Thank you very much, Andy.
Yeah.
Maybe before we go into what Wenreco is doing,
Yeah.
let me just give you a brief understanding of what Wenreco is.
Okay. Okay.
Wenreco is a licensed generation and distribution company.
Mm.
It's licensed by the Electricity Regulatory Authority, and by this I mean it's given the freedom or ability, the permission to generate power within West Nile and distribute it to the last mile user,
Yeah.
the end user.
Yeah.
So that's what the licensing encompasses.
Mm.
So in this, I need perhaps the viewer to understand that power is first generated, then it is transmitted, and then distributed.
Yes.
Now, those three legs they constitute what is defined as the electricity sector.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So Wenreco, interestingly, has got a generation license.
Okay.
It doesn't have a transmission license, but has a distribution license.
Oh, of the three, Wenreco has license for two.
For two.
Okay.
And yet the one that is missing is the middle leg.
No. Mm.
You get it? You can't distribute power unless it's transmitted.
Exactly.
Yeah. So what, in essence, what ended up happening is that the distribution license ends up being like a transmission and distribution license. In other words, our distribution infrastructure is for both transmission and distribution, but we don't have a transmission license. So as far as the regulatory framework is concerned, if you go to the regulator and try to seek for the licensing documentations of Wenreco, you will find a generation license and a distribution license. But we do three things. We generate the power, transmit it, and distribute it.
So what does that mean for Wenreco?
Yeah.
And for the people?
What it means is that Wenreco is the one that is in direct contact with the consumer, as it is right now. All contracts or all engagements between the user and any power service is between that power service, the service provider is Wenreco.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
this is specifically for the West Nile region.
Yes. 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 All right. So the aspect of power distribution that you just elaborated on, you gave us a hint on what Wenreco does, and basically looking at West Nile region specifically, to what extent is the power distribution that Wenreco is doing? To how far, or up to which areas, and how much have you reached to the end user that you made mention of, please?
Okay. The West Nile region, as defined by the boundaries, will start from Pakwach and then move all the way up to Adjumani.
Yes.
But the Wenreco service territory, as it is right now, extends up to Yumbe. So if you look at the road infrastructure, the road network from Pakwach up to Yumbe, you're pretty much defining the service territory of Wenreco. Now, on the sides of the road, on the other side, you'll move into Paida and Zombo. That too is part of the service territory. On this other side of the road, you'll be entering into Madiokolo and Terego before you get to Yumbe. That too is part of the service territory. As it is right now, it's the districts of Terego and Madiokolo that are not enjoying the service. However, the government of Uganda, in partnership with development partners, has made significant effort in extending this infrastructure in these two districts, that is Madiokolo and Terego. So Rural Electrification Agency extension projects have been, they've been busy. They've been busy in these two districts. And as it is right now, the significant number of these projects are done way above 80%. What we are waiting for is a handover process from the government of Uganda to Wenreco, so that we can now provide operation and maintenance of this developed infrastructure.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So looking at these, you say the number of these projects have not been handed back to Wenreco, and so there's been a lot of complaint about the power issue. How much power do we have? Will it be able to sustain the newcomers? By the newcomers, I mean the Terego and the Madiokolo we are talking about here.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, just to take you back a little bit, Andy, on this. The generation license we have mandates us to generate a maximum of 3.5 megawatts. I don't know if these figures will be too confusing, but let's just say in a generation plant, there's a cap, there's a figure in which the maximum amount of power that the generation unit can produce. For us, it's a 3.5 megawatt plant.
3.5,
This is in Nyagak. And at the time of development of this project or this plant, the consumption, the demand within West Nile was way below 2 megawatts. It was in the region of about 1.6 megawatts at the time.
Okay.
As we speak today, we've reached peak demand of almost 6.7 megawatts. Clearly, it means that the 3.5 we have as generation was no longer sufficient to meet the demand in the region.
Yes.
But you will raise an interesting question. Then what happens to the new people we are bringing on board? The government of Uganda thought it wise to bring in a supplementary source of generation to cover up the deficit. And this supplementary source of generation exists. It's in Iwata. We have another power generation plant in Iwata.
Yes.
It's for another entity. It's not Wenreco.
And that location belongs to Wenreco.
Yes, the location belongs to.
How comes a different entity is providing power within the
the same premises?
The same premises. And how do you harmonize this?
It was a quick fix. At the time, this solution was needed.
Okay.
Wenreco had property available, and it's also interested in having more generation within the region. If the new player, the business would have dictated that they look out for their own location and put something to it, but that would have taken a lengthy period of time. Since the property was available and it was vacant, and we needed a new player, even within Wenreco, we recognized the fact that we needed another player to provide service for our people in West Nile. So it was easy to accommodate this person, or the new player within. We enjoy a seemingly good business
with this service partner,
service relationship with this partner. There's some glitches here and there, but those are expected. It happens every now and again between two partners.
Okay, all right. Now, what are the major challenges, especially for you, as far as the aspect of power distribution? We'll go to other aspects, but basically the aspect of power distribution. What are the major challenges that Wenreco is facing in the process of providing power for the people in West Nile region?
The first issue would have been availability of the power. Just like the previous question you mentioned, as the demand grows, and Wenreco, which has the mother license to operate in this region, the fact that we don't have sufficient capacity to meet the demand, it now means we have to openly go out to the other supplementary source of generation and seek. It's a cordial relationship, so to speak.
We're talking about Electromax.
Okay. So we it's more like you, not begging, I don't know what to do, but you have to be, it's a cordial relationship, let me put it like that, to help, to enable this person perform to the, because recall that we are the ones interfacing directly with the client.
Yes. So
we have the contract or the agreement of service provision is between Wenreco and you, the end user. So if the end user doesn't have the power, it doesn't matter to them where the power is coming from. The issue is you, the person who they have the contract with, should be able to give them that power. Now, because of that tying agreement we have with the end user, it makes it inevitable for us to be on our knees with the other supplementary source of generation. So we are almost pleading on a daily, please make sure you don't fall short on your generation, because if you do, we now have a problem with our agreements we have with our customers. Now, so I would mention that straight up to answer your question, the first challenge is the availability of the power. We don't have, as Wenreco, the capacity to meet the demand as an entity, Weneweka as an entity. Now, if you're relying on a supplementary source of generation to help you meet the deficit, then whatever challenges they face the other side, you have to be ready to accommodate them. It's now us speaking for them. Like I'm here, and if there's no power in West Nile now because the supplementary source of generation is not meeting to their expectations, it will be me pleading again on their behalf. You get it?
Taking all the blows.
I take the blows.
Yes.
So that is one of the first challenges. First challenge is I don't have the capacity to give you availability as I would have wanted.
Yes.
Now, the problem is the supplementary source of generation is using thermal energy, which is the normal generator, and this generator runs on fuel which you buy for your vehicle. Basically, they are buying it. It is the same fuel you buy.
The same fuel that we buy from the market.
Yeah, which is susceptible to all sorts of inflation and swings.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, whenever it swings, they find difficulty in stocking the raw material they need to run those generators. And when that hiccup happens, we also feel, when that earthquake goes, we feel the effect.
That's when
as well, immediately. Yeah. So my first challenge is availability, and I don't have controls over that. The other guy has the controls, and he, as clearly as mentioned here, he also sometimes he
doesn't have actual control because of the fluctuation in the market. Okay.
And now that ends up directly shifting to the end user. Yeah, that is number one, availability. The second issue would be that, if you recall, I mentioned that we have a generation and distribution license, but we tend to also take on the transmission license. Now, what that means is that for example, if you look at a typical power distribution, a power generation, transmission and distribution entity, you'd have a generation plant and you'd have transmission lines like the ones you were talking about, the towers.
Yes.
Now, on those towers, you clearly see that their job is just to take power to a certain center, which they call a substation.
Yes.
What they are doing there is to transmit the power.
Yes.
That's the area, that's the second leg called transmission. It is fulfilled by that infrastructure as you see it. After the substation, we don't have any substations in West Nile. So it's for people, this will make understanding for people who have been outside West Nile and seen something similar to what I'm describing.
Yes.
The government of Uganda right now is just trying to bring substations in here. One in Muni and another one in Tata in Nebi.
In Nebi, yes.
There are two substations being created.
Yeah.
When these are established, then you will see a typical setup of a power generation, transmission and distribution setup, a layout.
Okay. Can you try to explain each one of these three one by one?
Yeah.
There's generation.
Yes.
What does it entail?
Yes.
Then the distribution. Then what is the third one?
Distribution. The transmission and distribution.
Transmission, generation and distribution.
Yeah.
Can you try to shine some light on each one of these so that the viewer can be able to understand, maybe before we go to other challenges, please?
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Generation is purely the ability to make electricity.
Like what happens at Nyagak?
Yeah, like what happens at Nyagak, or even here at Electromax.
Yes.
There are different technologies to make electricity.
Yep.
Others will use running water, HEP, is hydro plants, or you can go thermal, you just use generators around. There are also other sources through biogas, solar, and many others, geothermal, name it. So generation is purely the process of making electricity.
And now, that is the license that you have?
Well, we have one. We have one with a cap of 3.5 megawatts.
Okay. Please go to the next. Yes.
When the electricity is manufactured, it has to be taken to the user. Yes. Otherwise, it's useless where it is. Okay. Now, the process of taking it to the user is where transmission comes in. We have to transmit that power to the nearest source where it can be distributed from.
Now, like from Nyagak up to
Iwata. If we had a typical setup like I'm describing, you would have a transmission line between Nyagak and Iwata. You would have a typical transmission line. Okay. But like I had mentioned earlier on, for us we steal the transmission. We don't have a license for transmission, but we merge the distribution and transmission into one. So what we have in West Nile is a merger between transmission and distribution. So the lines that come from the generation plant are both transmission and distribution. They do two things. Yeah.
Could that be the reason as to why there are a lot of power cuts here and there?
That goes to it explains.
Okay.
It partly explains that.
Yes.
You see, if you have a dedicated transmission line, then we provide the mechanisms of protecting it from any risk before the power is now distributed
before it comes to the substation.
You can institute protective measures for that dedicated line. It has no other person on it. It's PRF to bring power to the substation, so it's easier to provide protection on it. When the line has both transmission and transformers on it, like the one we have in West Nile here, you are fighting two things. Both that line, which should have been a transmission line, and also the challenges that come from you, the user, that throws them again on that line. If you have, as a user in here, I don't know what gadgets you're using in here, where you purchased them from, how genuine or how far they meet or don't meet the standard. The moment you plug them into any source of power, you become a generation source of a fault, you yourself, which then can run back to the system. Yeah. So when you have infrastructure which has both transmission and distribution, you have exposed the transmission infrastructure to the challenges of the distribution network immediately. You have merged the two into one. Okay. So WENECO right now, as it is, I've just described, we are fully aware of what the challenges are, and unfortunately, what I'm describing is what you typically find of a mini grid. The cost of setting up a transmission infrastructure is humongous. So, and that money has got to be met by the end user. For a mini grid like ours, we only have about 22,000 customers. We are slightly moving upwards into the region of 23,000. That is such a small thing. That is less than a quarter of the people in Wakiso, just alone.
Yes.
23,000. So, with an infrastructure where there are just few users like that one, it will be commercially unviable to establish a transmission network which is that costly. The return on investment is just the books don't add up.
Like the pylons and stuff would be very costly.
It doesn't add up. The math doesn't add up at all. So to make the mathematics a little bit more viable, you merge the two. You end up, but the process of merging the two exposes you again to those risks.
Okay. All right. I just had to cut you a little bit short before you were going ahead mentioning a number of other challenges. Now, we do know at a certain point the WENECO power lines are very susceptible to bad weather most times. Is that one of the challenges? Because you never made mention of that. Please.
Well, you see, bad weather can be, let's address bad weather. It's characterized by one, windstorms, thunder and lightning. All these are forms of energy. Lightning is a charge, it's a discharge from, as you know, whatever happens in the space, they will generate a charge. That process generates a charge which has to be taken to the ground. Now, because the infrastructure is raised above the ground, that charge will find it, as on its way down, it will find the raised infrastructure. That's why you also have lightning arresters on tall buildings. It's purely for the same purpose, to arrest that charge. Now, for us, with such an infrastructure laid out, for example, for over 200 kilometers from between Pakwach and Yumbe, you have literally laid yourselves available for a charge for that surface area. You get to receive the space. Now, when it comes in strong, it's definitely going to look for where it gets to the ground, and in electricity, that unexpected charge will definitely have an impact on the infrastructure. So that's one of the causes of the blackout. What is WENECO doing to protect that? There are ways of protecting yourself. Like I said, you have, for example, surge arrestor, lightning arrestor, which you install on buildings. Even in electricity infrastructure, there are devices or their gadgets or there's equipment to help you protect yourself from the lightning. That is number one. The second form of energy will be wind. Wind, that is energy, and you know that you can also generate electricity from wind. That shows how strong the source of energy wind can be. Now, the impact of wind is that it will find, if your infrastructure is not strong, meaning that if the poles are not firmly established within the ground, that impact is likely to push a pole into pieces, or it will fall directly on the ground. Again, your question is, what is WENECO doing about it? Yes, there's a lot we're doing to address that issue. Please recall that we're inheriting an infrastructure that was given to us through in the UEB days.
Yes.
And there's been considerable work done to revitalize that infrastructure. But it's costly stuff. So it's work in progress. But I think you will bear me witness that of recent, we're not experiencing issues of that nature as rampant as they were before. That it's not happening by accident. There's work we're doing inside that explains why things are happening the way they. Then the last one, the last issue, that one is the one for thunder. Thunder is sound. If it comes in so strong, that impact will be directed to infrastructure as it is, and it will knock you out, and you have no clear understanding what caused the knockout. But if you, from the science and understanding, that energy can't be lost just abruptly like that. The moment you hear boom, thunder, that energy has to be absorbed somewhere. Yeah. So if it finds your infrastructure hanging all over the place and it's not firm, that energy will be shifted to that infrastructure and to have some impact. So you'll find some conductors giving way in other places, or poles are broken. So that's what weather does to us here.
All right. Sometimes there's been this common complaint from the end user that when it's about rain, power goes off. Do you switch it off deliberately to avoid such challenges from occurring, or it happens automatically?
No. Yeah, very good question. Windy environments also end up pushing vegetation. This is leaves, branches which are close to the line. That wind pushes them into the line. Now, electricity or transmission distribution lines do not want any other thing to intercept the flow of electricity. The moment that happens, then they will divert the electricity straight onto the ground. And the moment that happens, because supply is no longer flowing as it should go, if it's diverted, it goes off. So what are we doing about that? That too, we are extreme. There's a lot of work that being done in that area. That's why you're having some stable supply. I was even recently surprised. Just on Tuesday, we had such a bad rainstorm here, and we managed to sustain supply for some time. So that's mainly the real cause around rainfall and the nyanu effects is because of the vegetation that comes into interference with the line, and the fact if the windstorms are so strong, then they will take down a pole. When a pole goes down, then the circuit is cut, so supply can't flow. But mainly those two are the biggest challenges that I face.
All right. Okay. We'll probably, before we conclude, we shift gears to the aspect of the connection to the national grid. When we come back from the break, I want you to be able to look at the aspect of power theft. Is this happening? And how does this affect power distribution in the region, especially for WENRECO? I also want us to look into that. Let's take a break. We shall be coming right back. This is Coco Lyrical Live on West Nile TV. My name is Opingopi Yusuf Andabati, and I have Kenneth. He is the general manager for WENRECO, West Nile Rural Electrification Company Limited. We're having a very extended discussion on power distribution and the challenges that they face in the process of distributing power in West Nile region. Let's take a break.
Thank you.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
He must be rich, tall, handsome, from a respectable family. He must have a maid because at our home we do not work.
Conductor Masao.
Why? Obadde olobye ku simu?
Yamunange, anti your TV enkolera.
Enjoy a new world of entertainment with over 80 TV and radio channels, plus movies from wherever you are. Download the YoTV Channels app from your app store and enjoy 30 days of free streaming with MTN.
YoTV Channels, the power is in your hands. That is the sound of StarTimes. Easter 2 billion sharing and upgrade. Yes! Free upgrade for both weekly and monthly subscriber. 2 billion shillings worth of subscription, school fees and Easter hampers for sharing. Simply make weekly or monthly subscription and get upgrade to the next bouquet automatically. Amazing content this Easter season will bring a smile to every member of your family. Family telenovela such as The Brothers Season 2, entertaining and educative kids channels, and endless football live from the best leagues around the world. Enjoy the most affordable Easter entertainment on StarTimes.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Welcome back from the break. It is Kokoliriko Live on West Nile TV. My name is Yusuf, and I have my guest, Mr. Kenneth, the General Manager for WEDRECO, and we're discussing aspects of West Nile region as far as power distribution is concerned. And well, before we went for a break, Mr. Kenneth, we were talking about, I had posed the question of power theft. How does this affect distribution? And has this been something that is going on in West Nile region? I'm posing this question because there is a discussion going on the floor of Parliament as far as, you know, penalty for power power theft is concerned. We're talking about the Electricity Distribution Act for 2022. And so I wanted us to look at this. You are the General Manager for WEDRECO here, and you distribute power. Does aspect of power theft occur in West Nile region, and what are you doing as WEDRECO about it, please?
Yeah. Well, interestingly, power theft affects us twofold.
Okay.
One, technically and commercially. You see, when you steal power, it means that you have to bypass all the safety measures put in place for one to receive reliable and safe power in their house. Now, those measures, as far as the guidelines and recommendations for a service, provision of a service is concerned, the measures are put in place, including a meter and some protective device to protect you from any surge or anything that happens in case, you know, something unexpected happens.
Okay.
If power theft, what it does is to short circuit or to circumvent that entire that flow,
entire safety flow.
Yeah, it skips it.
Okay.
And then goes direct to the purpose of what you want the power for.
Yes.
Now, you see, protection of what you have in your house is to protect first yourself from any issue happening within your house, but it's also to safeguard the rest of us who are using the service outside your house. When you skip that, what it means is that whatever is happening in your house now just moves all the way back onto the network. Yeah. So this is rampant in West Nile, of course. So maybe in brief, I would say that technically power thefts end up exposing a lot of risk of power reliability on the network. It just opens the network up into faults or issues that streaming into it. Yes. That's technically what is the main challenge we have with power theft. On the commercial side, like I had mentioned, this is a mini grid. It's a small network. So if you have 23,000 customers, and the majority of whom are really domestic in nature, and low domestic in nature at that, if they engage in power theft, then it becomes difficult for you to raise the resources that you need
to upgrade.
Not only to upgrade, to even keep the system functional. I need you, Andy, to call me and say, you know, I have no power in Oluka. And and I should be able to provide a remedy to that immediately. Now that's costly because I need to drive or ride a bike or whatever it is and get to you in the shortest possible time.
Yes.
The costs involved there are the operational expenditures that we struggle to have on us when people are instead, using the power without paying for it. It basically it limits our ability to function commercially. Yeah,
Okay.
That's a strong one, by the way. It's one of the reasons people complain here that Wenreco is not responsive internally, but they don't see what challenges internally Wenreco may have as well. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So what have you done, or what are you doing about such scenarios of power theft?
Yeah. The strategy up to the end of this year is going to be community engagement. Yeah. First, we are looking at it from trying to make people understand that this service is for you. By not paying for it, you're making it difficult for the service to be enjoyed by many other people, and
including yourself,
including yourself. Let's try that approach first and see whether it gains. Because all these strategies have to be centered around one, the cultural understanding of the people or the communities where the service is going. It plays a huge role. Their religious inclinations, or basically their personal conduct as a people,
yes.
influenced by both culture and religion. It may be, if those measures fail, then we take a little harsher measures. You may move in. The law allows us to use police, the army, and whatever form, because it's a service that is licensed. It's pretty recognized by the law. Yes, it's criminal.
Yeah.
But we want to get to that stage only after we have proved that it's not possible to achieve much by engaging people one-on-one.
Yes.
Yeah. And surprisingly, what I've found is that what I've been told is that the people of West Nile are more cordial, they are more welcoming, they are more straightforward, they are loving people. So I'm very hopeful that this strategy will yield fruit.
Yes. Before the other strategy comes.
Yes, before the first one comes.
All right, now, there is the connection of West Nile to the national grid, which has been a song for quite some time.
Yes.
Or the local leaders have sung this song, the national leaders have sung this song, and even the end users of service from Wenreco have been, singing this song.
Yeah.
So, what is in plan as Wenreco? What is in your plan as far as this connection to the national grid is concerned, as it gets underway? Are you fully involved in this? Please.
Well, maybe also just to remind the viewer, the national grid, what it's going to do is to solve the problem of availability
Of power.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you recall, as we were discussing, availability is still a challenge to Wenreco.
And that's why you say that's why you have another partner
Exactly.
in the names of Electromax helping out.
Helping out, yeah. Now, the source of generation from Electromax, because of the encumbrances and the issues that surround it, it makes it difficult to guarantee availability of power. So what the national grid does is to eliminate that problem completely. I just thought it's necessary for the viewer to first understand.
Yes.
The national grid is going to solve the availability problem. So when power is now available in the West Nile,
maybe just for clarity, the aspect you talked about of is it 3.6 megawatts? 3.5,
Yeah.
which is not enough,
Yeah.
will be solved by the presence of this connection to
we now have direct supply from Karuma, which is more than abundant.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just that clarity, please go ahead.
Yes. So now availability of power will be available in West Nile. The challenge now is how to take that power to the user.
To my house.
Yes. You can have the power but still can't use it.
Okay. Make that clear.
Yes. We generate the power and transmit it to the substation.
Yes.
But for the power to get from the substation to your house, the distribution entity of the power sector plays that role.
So from Muni to whichever location that you live in.
Yes, and that's what our license mandates us to execute. To take that power from Muni and Tata and deliver it to you.
Oh.
If you bring the national grid to these two substations, but the Wenreco challenges are not yet solved.
The challenges that you talked about,
You still
and all those. Yes.
Yeah, you still won't enjoy this power.
Okay.
Power can be available, but doesn't mean you use it.
It can be available, but not available.
Yeah.
Okay. So now, what does this mean?
Yeah. So right now we're also gearing up aggressively to tackle all challenges that make it difficult for available power not to be available.
Okay. Okay.
Those issues, most of them we've gone through them earlier on.
Yes.
Yeah. We want to revitalize the network or the infrastructure. It's costly, but this is a strategy or an objective that we have agreed we are going to pursue. Remove old poles from the infrastructure, replace them with rugged, strong poles, explore the possibility of using concrete poles. Yeah. Take our people for training, equip them with the resources, technical skills that they need to be able to make this power available to you in your house. Clear all vegetation that is surrounding anywhere close to any distribution line. Get in touch and engage the owners of the properties through which this line goes through. Because
the affected persons.
Yeah, this one's also a bit of a challenge here. There are areas which are infested with vegetation, and the owners don't want it to touch that vegetation at all. So every time there's a windy storm of sorts, we know them, we've tried to engage them, we've tried to speak to them, and they know the impact of what they're doing, but they're just adamant, they will not move.
Have the local leaders stepped in? Because sometimes the local leaders are listened to so much.
Yeah, we have tried. Too much. There's too much engagement with the local leadership, but still, there's some really, adamant cases. You won't do much. So those ones too are just, moving a notch higher to see how far can we engage them to get this out of the way.
Maybe is it possible to move the power line away from such places and to move into another direction?
You'll still find other people that side where you're going to.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
I think you're better off dealing with the devil that you know.
the angel that you don't. All right. So from Muni, when this power station, this substation is functional, is WENRECO going to be fully in charge of this, or yours will be just the point from Muni to, like you say, to Iwata, to people's houses? Are you going to take it from Muni again to Iwata before you distribute, or it will be from Muni to people's houses?
The substation in Muni belongs to the government of Uganda. So what it has done is to invest and bring the infrastructure here. Now, it's the project also has a phase of taking that power from Muni
to
Iwata. So when you ask that, what is your involvement in this? To be honest with you, we've been directly in touch with Uganda Electricity Transmission Company, which is behind this project. And our major area of concern is how this power is coming from Muni substation to integrate into the WENRECO network. That process of planning and design has had WENRECO directly involved in it. And as you rightfully mentioned, the plan is to shift it from Muni and evacuate that power into Iwata. Now with Iwata, because there's already existing infrastructure taking it out, if you just drop this one in, then the existing infrastructure will take it.
Able to take it with so much ease.
With so much ease.
Okay, so does this mean that your marriage with Electromax will end?
That question can only be answered by one, the regulator, Electricity Regulatory Authority, because they are mandated by law. They have a license. I'm not so. I'm not aware of the duration of their license, to be honest. And so the regulator and the Electricity Transmission Company, which are the two entities that directly interface with Electromax, those are the ones that are best suited to answer that question. However, we shall see. We shall see.
Okay. And so probably our time is fast spent, but we still have some time to be able to discuss a number of issues as far as this is concerned. So what does it mean for the people of West Nile that the government had given a deadline of around September this year to be able to be integrated into the national grid? And so what does this mean for the people? Because you do know, as WENRECO, you do know the complaints that keep coming through to your offices. So what should people expect at the end of the day?
My last engagement with the people running this project, the National Grid project, is that the towers have reached about 45 kilometers away from Arua. Now, 42, 45 kilometers away from Arua, we are pretty much in the metropolitan setup of this region.
Yes, yes.
So I'm expecting a lot of way leaves and clearance challenges. This is likely to be the reason why the project is not moving at the speed we would have loved it to move. It has reached an area where people are more aware. People are more, more commercially driven than the ones before.
Yes, yes.
So they are bound to face a lot of challenges in getting clearance and acceptance to put a tower in their area. This is likely to be the reason why the progress has stalled.
Yes, yes.
However, if again, like you said, community leaders and political leaders are, putting both arms and legs into this, we're likely to score some success. The rest, by the way, by putting the tower in, you've pretty much solved over 60% of the work there. The other work of putting the conductors and the wires onto that tower is chicken feed. It's an easier job.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then fixing this.
Than fixing the tower into the ground. Yeah. So if I'm not so sure, I can't speak for government whether how ambitious their plans were for September. That's for them to answer. But we're in June. We're fast moving.
You're somebody who deals with this. Do you think this is a possibility?
Well, now it's June. June is the 6 months. September is 8, 9? No. Yeah.
This
we're 3 months away.
Yes, 3 months away.
3 months away.
And 40 kilometers?
Yeah, I'll leave it at that.
I can see.
I'll leave it at that. Yeah.
Because you're an expert in this. So we'll take a break, and when we come back, we'll be able to conclude our discussion as far as power distribution in Western region is concerned. I have Mr. Kenneth Chigumba. He is the the general manager for Wenreco in this region. Let's take a break. Good morning.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Chinayuchinyumira whether it is Katogo, Chikomando, Rolex Majasa to Nyambisi. Man, wherever I am, I enjoy Chinayu with your TV channels on my phone.
Enjoy a new world of entertainment with over 80 TV and radio channels, plus movies from wherever you are. Download the YoTV Channels app from your app store and enjoy 30 days of free streaming with MTN.
YoTV Channels, the power is in your hands.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Welcome back from the break. Kokoleriko live on West Nile TV. My name is Yusuf, and we are having a very extended discussion, very interesting discussion here about power distribution in West Nile region. This is deliberate for you to be able to understand what Wenreco is doing, because the complaint has been coming through for quite some time. It's on daily basis. So Mr. Chigumba Kenneth has given us a very extended, a very elaborate, information into what Wenreco does, what they do with the aspects of power, the challenges that they face, and mention it. So you have a very exclusive, understanding of what they are doing now with the challenges that they face. So, Mr. Chigumba, still on this, as our time is fast spent, probably within the next 4 or 5 minutes. Yeah, sure. What are the take-homes for people who, the end user, you prefer saying that, from this discussion and from Wenreco? You are here to stay, you are here to work for the people, because when this national grid comes through, your contract is still way beyond when the national grid comes through. And so what is the take home from this discussion, and what should people expect from Wenreco? Please.
Well, thank you very much. Wenreco, as it is right now, is aggressively looking in the area of customer care.
Okay.
We want the customer to enjoy the service, and that is a very high priority as we speak right now. So I want to assure the customer that they should be hopeful for things much, much better than they've been experiencing before. We are tackling all technical challenges that make it difficult for you to enjoy this service, but we're also dealing with the software challenges that surround the service. If you have any issue whatsoever, we have been very open in the last month and a half, mentioning which numbers to reach out or to...
That would be really important, yeah.
Yes. I'm honest and serious about this, that customer care is a key priority right now. So, a call center is going to be set up in less than 2 months.
Oh.
Yes. This is to enable you reach out to Wenreco toll free.
Okay.
You should be able to tell us, this is the challenge and this is happening here. And we're working on a methodology internally to have response to challenges in the shortest possible. There's a specific time frame in which a fault should be attended to. This is all in the direction of addressing customer complaints.
Yes.
So, I mean, there's nothing more I'm going to add to this. I'm telling you that we are aggressively removing all hiccups that have been surrounding the technical side of the service. All these are going to get out of the way. Metering related challenges, please reach out and you'll have solutions. As we speak, there are already solutions available. So don't sit with any challenge in your home thinking of the old Wenreco, which was not responsive. Right now, if you have anything, please bring it out to the fore, and I can assure you that you're going to get it.
Can be addressed.
Yes.
All right. There has been the power purchase challenge that exists. Sometimes you want to purchase power. There are issues to do with network, and sometimes there are a lot of those complaints. I don't know if you've ever received them. So what can you say about those?
We are testing right now. We're testing Airtel.
Okay.
MTN will be coming, I think, by the end of this month. That means that you no longer have to go through, there's a way you can load tokens on your phone through a lengthy code. What we're planning right now is for you to have your Airtel, you as an Airtel customer or an MTN user, is to directly use your Airtel and MTN platform to directly purchase
power.
Yes.
Like what happens in Kampala?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So Airtel is testing as we speak right now. So hopefully within a few 2, 3, 4 days, we shall be launching and throwing it all over the airways for people who are on Airtel. That's one way of addressing the challenge that you are mentioning. The other one is even with the same platform that is giving us some challenges. There's been tremendous improvement because I monitor it from where we are seated. Yeah, they are removing the software-related challenges that bring problems to people as they make this effort to. So even that will exist, will still remain as a service, but it will be a much better service than it is right now. Yes.
All right. So, okay. Our time is fast spent. Probably your last words as we conclude.
Yeah, I want to thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to be able to go live and speak to our customers in West Nile. Just remain hopeful. The customers in Madiokolo and Telgo, the service is coming to you in not more than 3 months. I advise you to look out for the services of a registered wireman. These are registered and the permits are given to them by the regulator. Let them wire your house and then express interest in this service. We shall come around and inspect your house to confirm that the standard of wiring meets our expectations. When that is done, you can now come and apply for the service and it will be dropped into your home. This is for both Madiokolo and Telgo. You can start the process of wiring right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you too.
It's been a pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you.
All right. Dear viewer, we've come to the end of our discussion, especially on the power distribution in West Nile region, and Mr. Kenneth Chigumba. He is the general manager for Wenreco, and a very, very elaborate discussion here we had about Wenreco. Now, a number of your questions that you have had have been answered, I do hope. You talked about a number that you needed to give.
Oh, yes.
Do you have that number?
Yes.
Can you read it out to the people?
Yeah, for sure.
Please.
On MTN, reach us on 0773 195 195.
0773
195
195 195.
Yeah. On Airtel, 0755
0755
195
195
195.
195.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you too.
That'll do it. Kokoriko Show Live comes to an end. My name is Yusuf. I have Chigumba right here with me, the general manager for Wendreko West Nile Region. Hope to be with you again tomorrow on the same TV station. News West Nile TV. We're lighting the region. I'm out of here.
Thank you.